Hi, this is John, and welcome to another edition of Statistics Tell a Story. Well, I wasn't sure if I was going to do anything for the wild card weekend, but there are actually five of the six games that I like, and I'm going to mention them on each of these five, and I'm going to give them in order. First is the Packers against the Bears. Um, the, I've mentioned before there are three main things I look at in a spot. One are fundamental indicators, right? That's kind of the metrics basically. Another are technical indicators. You can think of those as trends, and another are contrarian indicators. And to simplify that, it's kind of a matter of reading what the bookies are thinking and sometimes going along with them. Um, one of the technical indicators that's actually involved in several of these games are quarterbacks that are playing for the first time in the playoffs. Another one are teams that have done poorly the year before that are in the playoffs. And sometimes if you peel back the onion, you try to see if these make sense, right? So, for example, teams that had poor records the year before, such as the Bears, does it make sense that a Cinderella type team might not do so well, right? People might say, "Well, are those fluke records?" And I can't cite the record offhand. I can cite the record, I think, for first year quarterbacks in the last 20 years or so. I believe it's 20, 39, and 1. I'm not sure of the records for teams that were subpar, let's say winning six or less the year before. I do know that it is not good. But anyway, so what's the rationale for maybe teams that don't do well the year before? Well, it's just like a lot of things. Maybe they're just happy to be here, right? They didn't expect it at the beginning of the year, and they become a little bit like deer in the headlights and so forth. And of course, you got Caleb Williams, who I think is a fine quarterback and is going to end up being one of the better quarterbacks in football, if not now. Ben Johnson is a very good mind. Their offensive line was really good, very good offense. But a couple fluky stats with both teams. The Bears, I believe, broke a record or at least since the Super Bowl era. They won six games in the last 2 minutes of the season. So, you flip it a little bit, they could have easily been a 500 team. Their defense is just really bad. The Packers had a maybe more interesting record. I couldn't believe this when I heard this. Three times they went games without punting at once. And you might think, okay, well, that's not so, they're a team, really good offenses. Maybe they go three games without punting. Those three games, they lost all three games to the Panthers, to the Bears, and to the Ravens. Now, one could say, well, okay, they just went for it all the time on fourth down. Well, that's not quite, it's not like Matt LaFleur was getting crazy and going for it on 4th and 10. They went for it, of course, I'm sure on a few fourth downs, maybe fourth and short, but it kind of shows they were driving the ball or in position to score every time. No, sometimes maybe their defense played bad. So, for example, against the Ravens, who scored 41 points. But the point is, when you don't punt the whole game, those are generally winnable games. They also lost to the Browns kind of early on in a fluke. So I think they're a little better than their record. Jordan Love has been there before. LaFleur has been there before. They are my number one pick against the Bears. Number two, Eagles against San Francisco. Uh, I just don't think Frisco is very good. Their defense is bad. Their offensive line has played pretty well. Trent Williams, however, I believe he missed the last game or two. He's banged up for this game. He did have limited practice, but so I'm not sure. Their offensive line is he looks to play, and let's even call it above average. McCaffrey, he's what 28, 29 now. I think he averaged 3.6 yards a carry. He was good out of the backfield. Purdy's had a good year. They really don't have much of receiving core. The Eagles, on the other hand, they still have one of the better offensive lines in the league. Jalen Hurts still shows up in the playoffs. They have maybe the best 1-2 receiving core in the league that doesn't get enough hype. They still have Saquon Barkley, and they still have Vic Fangio on defense. Frisco played a really easy schedule. The Eagles played a very difficult schedule. I like the Eagles second. Chargers against the Patriots. I like the Chargers third. They're getting 3.5 points. Um, by the way, I think I forgot to mention this point spreads in the first two games. Packers are giving 1.5 points. I believe the last I saw, Philly was giving 4.5, maybe even 5.5 points. It doesn't matter to me. Frisco, that's kind of no man's land point spread wise. The Chargers are getting 3.5 points. Last I looked, anyway, against New England. I would put the threshold at 3.5. Three is not good enough in this game. Um, Again, we have a first year quarterback in Drake May. New England also played a very easy schedule. I like Jim Harbaugh in the playoffs. Chargers do have a very poor offensive line. They did average 4.4 yards a carry, however, throughout the year when defenses were probably keying on the run. So I don't think it limited them that bad. Jesse Minter, as a defensive coordinator, could very well keep this game close, and I'll take that 3.5 points with the Chargers. Number four, the Rams. This is the biggest point spread in history in the playoffs for a road team. It's 10 points. This is where I get into a contrarian indicator. The books could have hung this probably at maybe even 8.5 points and gotten the same kind of action. So when they lay something at 10.5 points, that tells me that they know something. The Rams, I believe they're the best team in football. I believe that all year. They're just strong everywhere. They have a great coach. They found a way to lose some games they should not have lost. I don't care that they lost. I think it was end up losing 5 games this year, 4 or 5. They're obviously on the road, so they did not win the divisions. Seattle did. I still think they're the best team in the playoffs. Carolina may be the worst team ever to make the playoffs. I just think this is going to be a blowout. I actually not only bet this, I bet this. I got 15 to 1 odds for the Rams to win by 25 or more. I just think that's going to happen more than 1 in 16 times. 15 to 1 actually translates to 1 in 16. I just think this is going to be a blowout. I think this is contrarian, and I like the Rams. Fifth, I like the Bills against the Jaguars. The Jaguars, I don't know. I just think they did it with mirrors. They're another team that had a poor record last year. Now, Trevor Lawrence has been to the playoffs. They had that great comeback against the Chargers several years ago. I just think Josh Allen's going to get it done. By the way, Jacksonville won 8 in a row to end the year. I believe teams that have won 8 or more in a row to end the season, which is a trend I love to bet against in the regular season. In the playoffs, it's held up. They're 3-11 against the spread. So they may be at their peak. I do believe they're at their peak. I don't know. I'm just not convinced they're that good. The Bills are still the Bills. Josh Allen is still, elite to say the least. And I like the Bills. Finally, one more thing I did want to mention with my best pick, my number one pick, which is the Packers. The Bears, actually, Ben Johnson was quoted earlier in the week as saying that we are prepared to play till the Super Bowl. That's a dangerous statement. When it reminds me of a biblical quote which says, "If you think you're walking upright, watch out lest you fall." No, there's nothing wrong with confidence. That's a confident team. But when you are looking ahead and being what I would call presumptuous, that's a bad sign. So again, getting back, Packers are my number one pick. All right, you have it. My 5 picks are there. Good luck this week, and I'll see you next time on Statistics Tell a Story. Thanks for tuning in.